welcome to our deep dive into Embodied Canine Connections. Have you heard of this one?
I have. It's a dog behavior training audiobook class series.
Yeah, and it's been getting a lot of buzz lately.
Interesting.
It was created by Lorrie J. Harris, the founder of Coaching Canine Companions down in Rhode Island.
Okay.
And she's really emphasizing that it's not just about, training your dog. It's about something much deeper.
Oh, like a...
Transforming the bond that you have with your dog.
Interesting.
Yeah. And she gets into some really interesting stuff, like how a dog's heart rate variability, like in humans,
Right.
can actually give you a lot of insight into their emotional state.
Oh, wow. That's fascinating. It makes you think. Our emotions as owners,
Yeah.
they must have a direct effect on our dog's heart rhythms, too. I mean, when you think about it.
Totally.
That's kind of the basis of Harris's whole approach.
It is. It's that shared energy connection. And before we get too far into the details, I did want to mention that this deep dive is just the start.
Oh, really?
Harris actually has a whole membership site with a ton more audiobook classes.
Oh, cool.
So if you're really into this stuff, you can go even deeper.
Awesome. It's a fantastic resource if you want to build, a stronger bond with your dog.
Yeah.
And speaking of bonds, I think this is the perfect time to talk about our first topic, the canine heart.
Okay.
As a mirror to a dog's emotions.
Yeah. It's not just a physical organ, right? It's like this window into their feelings.
Right.
And there's this really interesting example in the audiobook about this golden retriever named Barley.
Oh, tell me about Barley.
So Barley and his owner, they're at the vet, stressful vet visit.
Oh, yeah.
And get this, Barley's heart rhythm synced up with his owner's.
Wow. They were both anxious, huh?
They were. And their heart rate variability reflected that shared anxiety.
Right. So heart rate variability.
Yeah.
Or HRV.
Yes.
Essentially, it measures the variation in time between each heartbeat.
Okay. I think I need a little more explanation on this HRV thing. So how does that actually work?
Well, think of it this way. A healthy heart, it doesn't beat like clockwork.
Okay.
There's this natural variability in the time between each beat.
Okay.
And this variability, it actually reflects the interplay between two parts of our nervous system.
Okay.
The sympathetic and parasympathetic branches.
Wow.
It's a mouthful, I know.
Yeah.
But basically, they regulate all sorts of things. Your breathing, your heart rate, digestion.
So when a dog, or a human, I guess, gets stressed, the sympathetic nervous system kind of kicks in, right?
Yeah.
Like fight or flight.
Exactly.
Our heart rate increases.
Yeah.
And that variability decreases.
You got it. Low HRV can indicate stress, anxiety, even physical illness.
Wow.
But on the flip side, a high HRV that suggests relaxation, resilience, adaptability.
Okay, now it's starting to make sense why Harris uses this HRV
Right.
as like a key indicator
Yeah.
of the dog's emotional state.
Exactly. You're not just looking at their behavior on the surface.
Right.
You're getting a deeper understanding of what's happening inside.
Yeah, their actual internal experience.
Yes. So we talked about Barley, right?
Yeah.
And his owner at the vet with their low HRV. But Harris also talks about Tess.
Oh, Tess.
She's a hypervigilant border collie.
Right.
And her HRV, it showed a nervous system just stuck in overdrive.
Oh, wow.
But through synchronized breathing with her owner,
Okay.
her HRV improved.
Really? Just from breathing together?
Just from that. And what's incredible is that her behavior calmed down too.
Wow. It's like they're sharing that calm energy through their breath.
Exactly.
But how does that work in practice? Synchronized breathing.
Yeah.
Is it just like breathing at the same time as your dog?
Well, it's a little more nuanced than that. You actually start by observing your dog's breath.
Okay.
And then you kind of gently guide your own breath to match their rhythm.
So you're not forcing them to breathe a certain way?
No.
You're creating a shared rhythm.
Exactly. Like a dance.
Yeah.
That promotes relaxation.
Okay, that makes sense. And this actually ties back to the whole idea of the human being like a dyadic container for the dog.
Yes. That's a term Harris uses to describe how our own emotional state, it directly impacts our dogs.
Right. So it's like we're creating this safe and supportive space.
Exactly. An energetic space.
Yeah.
Where your dog feels secure and grounded.
Okay, I like that. It's like we become this living, breathing, safe haven. And I mean, it makes sense, right? If our energy is all over the place,
right,
our dogs are going to pick up on that.
Absolutely. But if we can find that sense of calm within ourselves,
yeah,
it kind of creates a ripple effect.
That extends to our dog.
Exactly.
Okay. And the beauty of this, right, is that it's not just good for our dogs.
Right.
It's good for us, too.
Absolutely. It's a win-win.
We're learning to regulate our emotions, cultivate that inner peace.
Yes, and that has positive effects on everything, our whole lives.
It's like self-care that also benefits our furry friends.
I love that. Self-care for both of you.
Exactly. Speaking of benefits, what are some other techniques that Harris recommends for building this heart-centered connection?
Well, she highlights something called resonant play therapy.
Okay.
It's especially useful for dogs who just have tons of energy.
Oh, so like Finn, that border collie we talked about earlier.
Exactly. Finn would be a perfect candidate.
The one who's always bouncing off the walls.
Yes, always on the go. Resonant play therapy helps channel all that energy in a constructive way.
So what does that look like? Like, how do you actually do it?
Well, it could involve things like rhythmic games,
Okay.
fetch, obstacle courses,
Okay.
even activities that involve a little problem solving.
Interesting.
The key is to create a sense of rhythm and flow
Uh-huh.
that engages both their mind and their body.
So it's not just about, tiring them out physically.
No, it's more than that.
It's about creating that shared experience.
Exactly. That promotes, both physical and mental stimulation.
Got it. So we've talked about calming the anxious dog, channeling the energetic one. What about dogs who are, I don't know, a bit more sensitive?
Yeah.
Or just need a different approach?
Right.
Yeah.
That's where creating a safe emotional container becomes really important.
Okay.
Harris talks about this golden retriever, Bella.
Okay.
She was very anxious, but she found comfort in this special space that her owner created for her.
Oh, so like an actual physical space.
Yes, an actual space. You can think of things like den-like areas, white noise,
Okay.
but most importantly, you, the human. You're the dyadic container.
Right.
Your calm presence, your regulated breathing. Remember, our energy has a big impact.
I love that. A den-like space where the human is the dyadic container. That's all starting to come together.
It is, isn't it? All these pieces fit together beautifully.
They do.
And next, we're going to dive into how trauma affects a dog's heart and explore some techniques to help them recover.
All right, looking forward to that.
All right, so let's shift gears a bit here. Let's talk about trauma
Okay.
and how it can show up in a dog's heart.
This is something that I think about a lot because I know so many dogs out there
Right.
have experienced some form of trauma.
Yeah.
So what actually happens to their heart?
Well, trauma, it can leave a lasting impact on their heart, both literally and figuratively.
Okay.
Their HRV, remember, heart rate variability,
Yeah.
that tends to decrease,
Oh, okay.
which is a sign of heightened stress
Right.
and a nervous system that's stuck in survival mode.
So the heart rate, it's less variable, right?
Yeah.
Less adaptable because their nervous system is like constantly on edge.
Exactly. It's like their internal alarm system is always going off,
No.
even when there's no real danger.
Yeah.
And that chronic stress, it can really take a toll on them.
Right. Both physically and emotionally.
Yeah.
So as owners, what can we do to help them heal from that trauma?
That's the big question, right? And I'm guessing a lot of the techniques that we've already talked about,
Right.
like synchronized breathing, creating a safe space,
Yeah.
those all come into play here.
They do, right?
They're like the foundation
Yeah.
for creating a sense of safety and security,
Right.
which is essential for trauma recovery.
Okay.
But Harris, she introduces some specific techniques that are really helpful for dogs who've been through trauma.
I'd love to hear about those. What are they?
So one is called rhythmic petting.
Okay.
It's basically slow, gentle strokes along your dog's back, following the rhythm of their breath.
It sounds so simple,
It is simple.
but powerful.
It's incredibly calming, helps soothe their nervous system.
Yeah. And I love that it involves touch. Right. We've been talking about touch.
We have. It's so important for that heart-centered connection.
It is.
And another technique Harris talks about is gentle compression
Okay.
on certain points of the body. It can help to release tension.
Oh, okay. So almost like acupressure for dogs.
Yeah, you could think of it that way.
Yeah.
And there's more and more evidence supporting these kinds of energy-based modalities that can really promote healing.
That's fascinating. So are there any risks, any precautions that we should be aware of with these techniques, especially when we're talking about dogs who've experienced trauma?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
These techniques, they're generally very safe,
Okay.
but you have to approach them with sensitivity.
Right.
Respect your dog's boundaries.
Okay.
Trauma, it's complex.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's best to work with a professional.
Yeah, that makes sense. You don't want to do more harm than good.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a good reminder that, Even though we can learn a lot from resources like Harris's audiobooks,
Mm.
sometimes you need that expert guidance.
Yeah, definitely. So, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about play.
Okay.
How play can support emotional well-being.
Play is so important for dogs. So I'd love to know, how can we approach play in a way that's not only fun but also therapeutic? Is it just about, throwing the ball or playing tug of war? Or is there something more to it?
There's definitely more to it. Those classic games, they're great for exercise,
Right.
but Harris talks about the importance of intentional play.
Okay.
Being present, tuning into your dog's energy, and using touch to create a deeper connection.
So it's not just about going through the motions, right? It's
Oh.
about being fully engaged.
Yes, both physically and emotionally.
Okay. Yeah.
And she talks about this technique called tender touch.
Tender touch. Okay.
It's about incorporating gentle, mindful touch into your play sessions. So you might pause during a game of fetch to give your dog a calming stroke,
Mm-hmm.
or use touch to redirect their attention if they're getting a little too excited.
Okay, so you're kind of weaving together touch and play.
Exactly, to create that harmonious experience.
Right.
And this kind of mindful play can be really helpful for dogs recovering from trauma.
Oh, okay.
How so?
It helps them reconnect with their bodies, build trust, and release that pent-up energy.
In a safe way, yeah. So they're learning to associate play with positive emotions.
Exactly, with
Yeah.
feelings of safety.
Right. Which can be so healing for dogs who have gone through trauma.
Exactly. And this idea of shifting from fear and anxiety, right, to joy and playfulness,
Yeah.
it ties into this fascinating concept, the map of consciousness.
Okay, I'm intrigued. The map of consciousness. Tell me more.
It's from the work of David R. Hawkins.
Okay.
He suggests that our emotions and energetic states exist on a scale of frequency.
Oh, okay.
Positive emotions like joy, love, and peace, they vibrate at higher frequencies.
Interesting.
While negative emotions like fear, anger, shame, those operate at lower frequencies.
So are you saying that when we engage in playful, loving interactions with our dogs,
Yes.
we're actually helping to raise their vibrational frequency?
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing. And higher frequencies are associated with greater health, vitality, and resilience.
Wow.
So by incorporating playful touch and mindful connection, we're not just bonding with our dogs.
Right.
We're actually contributing to their well-being.
Wow. So we're boosting their well-being just through play and connection.
That's the idea. And this is where it gets really interesting. Remember the whole dyadic container idea?
Yes.
Well, if we can cultivate a higher vibrational frequency within ourselves,
Okay.
we become an even more powerful container for our dog.
Wow. So it's like a ripple effect of healing,
I love that. A ripple effect.
starting with ourselves and then going out to our dogs.
Beautiful.
I'm starting to see how all of these pieces, the heart, touch, play, energy, it's all connected.
It is, isn't it? It's a holistic approach
Yeah.
to understanding and nurturing that bond.
Okay.
But there's one more piece of the puzzle.
Okay. What's that?
Energy work.
Energy work. All right. We've hinted at it a couple of times.
We have.
But let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Give me the highlights.
Okay. So Harris talks about a range of energy-based modalities. Okay. That can be super beneficial for dogs.
Yeah.
Reiki, for example.
Okay. Reiki, I've heard of that for humans,
Right.
but I didn't know it could be used for dogs.
Oh, yeah. Dogs are very receptive to energy work.
Interesting.
Reiki can be really powerful for calming anxiety, promoting relaxation,
Okay.
supporting overall well-being.
I'm definitely adding that to my list to learn more about.
Good.
What other modalities are there?
Well, Harris also talks about emotional freedom techniques, or EFT.
EFT.
You tap on specific points on the body
Okay.
to release those emotional blockages.
So it's like acupressure,
Hey.
but with tapping instead of pressure.
You got it. And it can be incredibly effective, especially for dogs dealing with fear, anxiety, trauma.
This is fascinating. It's like we're opening up this whole new world of healing possibilities.
Exactly. But before we get too carried away with energy work, I think it's important to circle back to trauma.
Okay, yeah. We can't ignore that many dogs have experienced trauma in their lives.
Right. And Harris offers some great insights into how to approach trauma healing
Okay.
with sensitivity and compassion.
Yeah. I'm particularly drawn to the idea of touch as a gateway for healing.
Yeah, touch, when used appropriately, it can be so powerful.
Right.
It helps dogs release that stored trauma, reconnect with their bodies, rebuild trust.
She mentions techniques like skin rolling and gentle compression. Those
Yes.
sound like they could be really effective.
They can be, but approach them with caution.
Right.
Respect those boundaries.
Right.
Remember, trauma is complex.
Yeah.
It's always best to work with a professional if you're dealing with significant trauma.
Yeah, for sure. Safety and well-being first.
Mm.
But even if our dogs haven't experienced severe trauma, can we still use touch to build resilience and connection?
Absolutely. Harris emphasizes creating those safe emotional containers.
Right.
And that involves regulating our own energy, being a source of calm.
Right. So we're creating that ripple effect of healing, starting with ourselves.
Yeah. And one of the best ways to do that is through daily routines
Okay.
that incorporate touch, play, mindful connection.
I love that. It doesn't have to be anything complicated, right?
Yeah.
Just small, intentional choices throughout the day.
That's it. Small things can make a big difference. And Harris gives some really practical examples.
Like what? I'm curious.
Well, she suggests starting the day with a grounding touch ritual.
Okay.
You sit with your dog, maybe for a few minutes, place your hands on their back or chest,
Okay.
and just breathe together.
It's like a little mini meditation session
It is.
for both of you, setting the tone for a calm and connected day.
Exactly. And then throughout the day, you find those little moments to incorporate touch. Maybe you pause during a walk to give your dog a massage.
Oh.
Or cuddle on the couch while you're watching TV.
Yeah.
Those little moments add up.
They do. Okay, what about bedtime? Any recommendations for ending the day peacefully?
Harris suggests a calming touch routine before bed, maybe some gentle strokes, or even holding them close, listening to their heartbeat.
That sounds so soothing.
It is a beautiful way to end the day. But these routines are just one part of it.
Right.
We also need to pay attention to our own emotional well-being.
Right, because it impacts our dogs.
Exactly.
We talked about the human being dyadic container.
Yes.
But Harris also goes into the concept of the shadow.
Oh, yes. The shadow.
How our own unresolved emotions can affect our dogs.
That's such an important point.
Yeah.
The shadow, in this context, refers to the parts of ourselves that we tend to hide or deny.
Okay.
Our fears, insecurities, unresolved traumas.
So how does that impact our dogs?
Dogs, they're incredibly sensitive to our energy.
Right.
They mirror our emotional states. So if we're carrying around a lot of unprocessed emotions, our dogs will pick up on it.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that my dog gets more anxious when I'm stressed.
Exactly. That's why it's so important to address our own emotional well-being.
So how do we do that? How do we work with our shadow selves in a way that benefits both of us?
Harris offers some great tools. Journaling, for example.
Oh, journaling.
It lets you explore your emotions, identify patterns, and start bringing those hidden parts to light.
I've always found journaling to be really therapeutic.
It is.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be fancy.
Right, just a few minutes each day.
Exactly. She also recommends energy clearing practices.
Oh, okay, like what?
Meditation, visualization.
Okay.
Help to shift your energy, create a more balanced state.
I'm all about energy clearing.
Me too. Like a reset button.
Yeah.
For your mind and body, and for
Right.
your dogs, too.
Exactly. Okay, here's a thought. Remember how we talked about a dog's heart rhythm syncing up with their owners?
I do.
It's amazing, right?
It is.
So imagine the impact our energy has on them if our hearts are literally beating as one,
Oh.
right? It's a powerful reminder that our emotional state, it's not just ours. It affects everyone around us.
Yeah.
Especially our dogs.
I think you're right. This has been an incredibly eye-opening conversation.
It has.
This whole embodied canine connections thing. We've covered so much, but there's still more to explore.
I know. And luckily, Harris has this whole series dedicated to it.
She does. Filled with advice, examples, exercises, you can really deepen your understanding.
I'm officially intrigued. I'm putting those audiobooks on my list.
Me too. But for now, let's just take a moment to reflect on what we've learned.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. A moment of reflection.
We've talked about the power of the heart, the healing power of touch, the transformation that can come through play, energy work, and the impact of our own emotions.
It's a journey.
It has. And I have to say, I'm feeling a sense of awe at this bond we have with our dogs.
Me too.
It goes so much deeper than companionship.
It does. It's like a partnership, a dance of energy.
I love that. A dance of energy.
A shared journey of growth and healing.
That's beautiful.
And this deep dive has been such a gift.
It has.
For both of us, and hopefully for everyone listening.
For everyone. And if you're feeling inspired to learn more, definitely check out Lorrie J. Harris's work.
Yeah, her website or wherever you listen to your audiobooks.
And as we wrap up, we encourage you to reflect on your own relationship with your dog.
Mm.
Think about how you can honor their individuality,
Yeah.
create that deep connection.
Right. And remember, some of the most profound lessons in love, connection, and resilience,
Yes,
they come on 4 legs.
they do.
Hmm?
Until next time, happy connecting.
Okay, so we're back.
Uh,
And we're talking about emotional autonomy for dogs.
right. Moving from that idea of control to partnership.
Exactly.
And I think consent is a really good place to start.
Consent.
It might sound a little strange at first, but
Yeah.
think about it.
Okay.
It's about being in tune with your dog's communication, respecting their boundaries,
Right.
just like you would with any other being.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
But how do we ask our dogs for permission? They can't exactly say yes or no, can they?
That's where you have to really learn to read your dog's body language.
Okay.
Those subtle cues
Yeah.
that tell you how they're feeling.
So things like ear position, tail wags, their eyes, all that.
Exactly. Like those relaxed ears,
Yeah.
a soft gaze,
Okay.
loose wagging tail.
Mm-hmm.
Those are signs that they're comfortable,
Right.
open to interaction.
Okay.
But if you see flattened ears,
Right.
tuck tail, or what's called whale eye,
Whale eye.
yeah, when you can see the whites of their eyes,
Oh, okay.
that's a clear sign they're feeling
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
got it.
Back off.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget, you know. You just want to cuddle or play.
I know, right?
But it's not always about us.
Exactly.
It's about them.
It's a shift in perspective
Right.
from making them do something
Right.
to inviting them
I like that.
to participate.
Yeah. Didn't Harris tell a story about a dog named Lily?
Yes. Lily, she had a really tough start to life.
Right. She was terrified of being touched.
Yeah. And her owner, James, he got it.
Yeah.
He knew that forcing interaction would just scare her more.
Mm.
So he started simple,
Okay.
just sitting near her,
Uh-huh.
offering his hand,
Yeah.
letting her approach at her own pace.
So he was giving her the choice.
Exactly.
Even though she was afraid,
Even though she was afraid,
he was respecting her.
he was creating that space of safety,
Yeah.
letting her decide.
What happened?
It took time,
Yeah.
but eventually Lily started to trust him. She
Yeah.
began to seek out his touch.
That's beautiful.
It just shows you the power of respect,
Yeah.
even when it's hard.
Even when it's rooted in fear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the kindest thing is to give them space
Let them come to us.
when they're ready.
It's true. And this idea of emotional autonomy goes beyond just physical touch. Right?
Absolutely. It has to be woven into every part of your relationship.
I see what you mean.
Our dogs, they have their own preferences, their own ways of learning, their own personalities.
So we need to embrace who they are, not who we want them to be.
Yes. And Harris gives some really great suggestions on how to do that.
Okay, like what?
Well, one is to watch your dog, see what they naturally like to do,
Okay.
and create opportunities for them to do those things.
So if I have a dog that loves to explore,
Right.
maybe we do more sniffing walks, let them investigate.
Exactly.
What if they're more of a homebody, more introverted?
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Create a quiet, comfy space for them.
Their own little den.
Perfect. See, it's all about honoring who they are,
Right.
not forcing them into a box.
I love that. It's like it flips the script on all that traditional dog training stuff.
It does. All that focus on obedience,
Yeah.
control. I think this is long overdue.
That too.
When we embrace their emotional autonomy,
Yeah.
we open ourselves up to a much deeper connection.
And isn't that the whole point?
It is.
To build that trust, that respect, that understanding.
Yes. And the beautiful thing is, as we learn to listen to them,
Right.
we learn about ourselves too.
My dog has taught me so much about living in the moment, finding joy, loving unconditionally.
I think that's one of the greatest gifts they give us.
I agree.
It's like they give us a chance to reconnect with our own hearts
Yeah, and to see the world in a new way.
through their eyes.
I love that. So I think it's safe to say that this deep dive into embodied canine connections has been a pretty profound experience.
It really has.
We've explored so much.
The heart, touch, play,
Energy, archetypes.
and how important it is to honor their emotional autonomy.
Yeah,
It's just amazing to see the depth of this connection we have with our dogs.
it really is.
It goes so far beyond just, having a pet.
right.
It's a partnership, a journey.
And we just scratched the surface of this work.
I know. If you're feeling inspired.
Check out Lorrie J. Harris's audiobooks.
Yes. Her website, where we get your audiobooks. And as we wrap up,
Yeah.
we want you to think about your own relationship with your dog. How can you honor their individuality? How can you make that connection even deeper?
And remember, the best
The
lessons,
ones that really stick with you.
they often come on four legs.
They do. Until next time, happy connecting.